Hi Tarot Tribe, it's Ethany and I am here today to run through a little full moon releasing ritual which is going to be in the full moon guide for February 2016 and then also released on my YouTube channel afterwards so that you can have some inspiration on what you can do on the full moon. So the full moon is a very powerful time and it's not, a lot of people may think of the full moon as just a time to attract things to us or increase things and bring things forward, whereas the full moon can also be used as a beautiful time to release, and you can do this releasing work and start it at the full moon and then have it go all the way to you know, all the way through the waning moon and then finish at the dark of the moon. So I've decided this month we're going to do a releasing ritual. So before I kind of start the ritual, I'm going to go through the elements that are on my altar here and why they're on the altar and the tools that I have as well. So I've set up my little altar here firstly with this beautiful fabric. This is actually from Peru and it was made into a holding bag for my sacred stones by my beautiful friend Fairy over at Handmade Wonderland, and I'll put a link below to her site because she has some of the most amazing stuff. And I fell in love with Peru. If anyone's ever been to Peru and had an amazing experience, I'd love to connect with you and talk about it. Peru for me was, I can't even put into words how much I loved that place. I went all around Peru. I went to the Nazca Lines. I went to a real desert oasis. I went to Cusco. I went to Machu Picchu. I went to Ollantaytambo. I spent time with the Quechuan family. I hiked through the Andes in probably one of the most physically challenging hikes of my life, where a donkey, I kid you not, a burro nearly threw me off a mountain, bumped me off a mountain. Trust me, those donkeys do not care that you're there. I didn't hear them coming. And I tore my meniscus in my knee and I had to keep going, and it was very, very challenging and very rewarding. And one thing I wish that I'd gotten more of is this textile from Peru. So if I ever go back, which I would love to, I'd love to take my son and my partner. If I ever go back, I'll have one suitcase just dedicated to these amazing, amazing, amazing textiles. And there is a lot about these textiles and the colors that they use and the dyes that they use and the lines and the patterns and things like that. So I learned a lot about real Andean magic and real Incan magic, and yeah, it was just an incredible. So I've got this here, and this houses my beautiful stones, and these stones are all from all over the world. So like, for example, this stone here is actually from Vancouver. Well, it's actually from North BC, where the killer whales go and rub their bellies on the beach, and you can see there it's still got some of the beach on it. Oh my gosh, and when I hold this I just feel the ocean and I just get really linked to that orca magic. And I went sea kayaking with killer whales, and this is how I got this beautiful stone. And I had a bunch more, but I gave them away to people. And yeah, so they all come from all over the world. There's stones from gosh, where are the stones from? There's stones from Bolivia, Peru, all over Canada, Australia. I haven't taken anything from any sacred land in Australia because it's not advised that you do so. But I have here like a shaman stone from my friend, and that lives in there. The piece of rose quartz is also a gift from another friend of mine. So yeah, it's a beautiful set of stones from all over the world that mean an awful lot to me. I have the elemental calls here. I'm hoping that this is in focus. We have down here South Fire, so a candle for fire. In the Northern Hemisphere, I use south as fire because that's where the equator is, and north is earth because that's where the pole is. And when I was living in Australia, it was the other way around. So because the equator was in the north, fire was in the north, and because the pole was in the south, earth was in the south. And then at west I have my little shell, and then at east I have my shell for water, and at east I have one of my beautiful smudging oh my gosh, my words today, oh dear, smudging feathers there. And then also on my altar I have my goddess, one of my goddess statues. I also have a bunch of god statues. They're just all on my permanent altar. I need to find a good mini god statue. I think that's going to be my thing for the year. And then I've got the Eight of, oh, I'm trying to get this aligned here. It's all weird and backwards when I look at it. The Eight of Cups from the Morgan Greer Tarot. And that's going to be the tarot card that I use for this little ritual today, because the Eight of Cups talks about walking away. As you can see, the figure in the card is walking away from these cups. And this is a real, tarot is very multidimensional and people have different meanings for the cards. But for me, the Eight of Cups is about recognizing what is no longer good for your soul and what is no longer good for you, and serving your purpose in life, and walking away from them. And when it's an 8, and this is quite late on in the progression of the cups, it can be a hard thing to do. It can be walking away from a relationship, or a partnership, or a job, or a friendship, or just breaking a habit like smoking or drinking that's really hard. So that's why it's so far on the progression. And it takes some real soul digging and some real shadow work to kind of get to the point where you've put your finger on what you really need to walk away from, and then have the bravery to do it. So that's why I've got this as my focus card here. And this is another way you can use tarot. So you can pull those energies and use those energies as anchors in your magic if you choose to do so. And then my final, oh, I've got a couple more elements actually. I've got a glass bowl here. I prefer using glass in ritual, unless I'm using a ritual bowl, but I want it to be see-through so you can see what's going on. Filled with water, and then I've got rose quartz and clear quartz. Now the rose quartz is to help release this with love and to fill this with love, and the clear quartz is a magnifier. Now I've also chosen these two stones because their hardness, and I know for a fact that I can leave these stones in there and they won't dissolve. So some crystals and some minerals will not be able to do this. So like limestone, mica crystals. So like I know if you leave selenite, or if you leave some calcites, and if you leave kyanite in like water, especially salt water, they will dissolve if you leave them there for too long. Some serpentines, I believe, are quite soft. So just check before you put your crystals in water. You can certainly wash them, and I do wash my crystals quite frequently and bathe them under the full moon. But yeah, you don't want to leave just anything in here. So, all right, so let's have a look at what else I've got. I'm using a petition magic. So petition magic is using words for power. So I've got my very well loved watercolor, one of my very well loved watercolor palettes. And I have a little, I love these aqua brush pens, and this is a fine tip pen. I love these so much. I want like all of them forever and ever. And I've got some petition paper, just some clear paper, blank paper. The reason why I'm using this is because the idea behind this ritual is that when you place the things that no longer serve you, as represented by the Eight of Cups, into the bowl, the water will dissolve the writing, and then when we release the water, we release the energy of these things. So if that makes sense. So I haven't used anything permanent. So you can use a watercolor marker, or you can use watercolors like I have, but permanent ballpoint pens and things like that, they won't give you the same effect. So that's the reason why I've done it like this. So I'm going to just run through the mechanics of this ritual. You will need to obviously put your energy behind it, set up your altar however you like, cast your circle if you do so, or bring in your protective energies, your angels, your guardians, your guides, your gods and goddesses. Who you work with in spirit is very personal. So I'm not going to be doing that per se. I'm going to be running through the mechanics of the ritual so that you can do it and add your flavor to it too. So now that I have this set up and I have again called in my deities, I've called in my circle, I've protected myself, and I'm ready to go, I'm going to, and you can do this beforehand, and I do suggest this when I'm teaching people to working with spellcraft, is to think about what you want to do beforehand. And I've just put down some examples of some of the things that you may want to release or that you may want to have a think about. So the first one I've got is envy. So I've painted these on. Loneliness is another one that would be good to release. Anger, doubt, and jealousy. Okay, so we've got these baggy of things, and it's not to say that these things will go away forever. It's just you opening the door to release them this full moon and to release them through the waning moon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this, and I'm going to fold it outwards so that the water can get to the actual print. And then I'm going to pop it in the water. I'm actually going to douse it in the water there. And while you're doing this, do this in a way that you're not rushing. Do this in a way that's thoughtful. Do this in a way that is meaningful for you. So jealousy. So how does that feel? How does that make you feel? Why do you want to let go of it? What do you feel will come into the space if you're able to? Doubt. Well, you know, when have you doubted yourself? How does that doubt kind of make you feel in your life? So you can take, this is a process, and spell work is very powerful when you allow the space and time for it, and when you allow for the energy to be what it's going to be. So anger, and look, it's already running. Anger, you know, a very powerful shadow energy. And just really hold the space for yourself, and hold this space of walking away from these things. So I've just folded loneliness. I'm folding it because my bowl isn't big enough, or I have a little bowl. So if you have a larger bowl, you can use, obviously you can just put it in there. And then envy. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in there. And then what you can do, and I do suggest this, and I will put this below and so that you have it, is that you can, I would recommend that you now then spend some time in a contemplative meditative state. I'm not really one for meditation. I like to run or jog. That's more my meditation because it connects me with my breath. But I am very good at contemplating, thoughtful contemplation. So I have a mantra for you that you can use for this spell, which is, I lovingly release all beliefs that no longer serve me. I lovingly release all beliefs that no longer serve me. And you can even say it when you're putting these petitions in. I lovingly release envy. It no longer serves me. I lovingly release doubt. It no longer serves me. I lovingly release loneliness. It no longer serves me. I lovingly release jealousy. It no longer serves me. I lovingly release anger. It no longer serves me. And I lovingly release all beliefs that no longer serve me. I have my mala beads. I use them all the time, so you can use something like that, or you can, as I mentioned, you can use it when you're putting the petitions in. But I love those affirmations as a part of ritual, and quite often, if you're accustomed to ritual and spellcraft, you can do your power raising through those mantras. and you'll know how to release those when they're ready. And I wanted to have this as something that you can adapt for people who are very adept at magic and people who are just simply beginning and learning. So once you've done that and you've sat in the space and you feel like you've really connected emotionally and you're opening up to letting it go, now what do you do? So for me, I would leave this altar, obviously away from my child, out. Sorry, I would leave this altar out under the full moon. You want those energies to come into the water, and another reason why I use glass and a clear glass bowl. And I found that at a dollar shop. What? So you don't need to spend a lot of money on that. It was a candle holder. I thought it was perfect for ritual work. So I would leave that under the full moon, allow it to get as much good juju in it as possible, and allow for all of this, all of the words, all of that water to come in and seep and take all that writing off of that paper, and your water may be a little bit muddy or a little unclear. And then for me, after the 3 nights of the full moon are done, I would take this outside and I would put the water in the garden, and put it under a tree, you know, feed the plants kind of thing. And so with this, you want to make sure that whatever you've used, so like the watercolor paints or whatever, are non-toxic. We don't want to be putting nasty stuff into the earth. So once that's been left out, once I've done my magic, I would close my circle and thank my deities and my guides for coming in, and then that would be it. That would be my releasing ritual. So yeah, I hope you're able to use some of this or all of this as inspiration. As I mentioned, I will put the affirmation in the comments below. Thank you for watching and joining me for this month's full moon. And as always, if you want me to do a certain ritual, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love to hear what your practices are or what you would like to see me demonstrate as well. And full moon blessings to you.